Waking the Tiger, Healing Trauma by Peter A. Levine is a revolutionary look at the nature of psychological trauma and methods for overcoming it. The author, drawing on 45 years of clinical practice and observations of wild animals, reveals the mechanisms of trauma as frozen energy in the body and offers a unique healing methodology through somatic awareness. The book teaches how to recognize trauma symptoms, safely release suppressed emotions, and restore the natural capacity for self-regulation. It's a must-read for psychologists, people who have experienced traumatic events, and anyone who wants a deeper understanding of the mind-body connection. Interesting facts. The book's ideas emerged from Levine's observations of wild animals. He noticed that antelopes, having narrowly escaped a predator, literally shake off the traumatic shock with their whole body, whereas humans often get stuck in this state. The somatic experiencing method, developed by the author, is now used in 42 countries, including war zones. The book has been translated into 24 languages and has become a staple for PTSD specialists. Part 1. The Theory of Trauma. Chapter 1. Trauma, a Worldwide Epidemic. Trauma is not a rare phenomenon, but a widespread problem affecting millions of people. It arises not only after disasters or violence, but also in ordinary situations, car accidents, medical procedures, even painful breakups. Key idea. Trauma is not the event itself, but the nervous system's reaction that gets stuck in a state of threat. For example, two people are in a car accident. One returns to normal life within a month. The other suffers from panic attacks for years. The difference lies in the nervous system's ability to complete the stress response cycle. Trauma is insidious because it can hide behind depression, anxiety, or chronic fatigue, remaining unrecognized. Chapter 2. What is trauma? Trauma is a breakdown in the instinctive survival mechanism. Normally, after danger, the body should discharge energy, trembling, sweating, rapid heart rate. But modern humans often suppress these reactions. An uncompleted cycle leads the body remaining in a state of frozen fear. The tracking sensations technique. Observe bodily signals, trembling, warmth, tension, without blocking them. This helps the nervous system complete the interrupted reaction. For example, after a fall, a person instinctively shakes. This is how the body releases excess adrenaline. If this process is allowed to complete, trauma will not become entrenched. Trauma is a physiological phenomenon, and it needs to be addressed through the body, not just the mind. Chapter 3. Symptoms of trauma. Trauma manifests not only through flashbacks or anxiety, but also through physical symptoms: chronic pain, insomnia, hypertension. An important sign is a feeling of freezing or numbness in certain body parts. The resourcing method. Find a comfort zone in the body, for example, warmth in the palms, and focus on it when traumatic memories surface. This creates a grounding point for safely working with trauma. For example, a woman with PTSD after an assault felt cold in her chest. By concentrating on the warmth of her feet, she gradually reconnected with her body. Symptoms are signals that the nervous system is trying to heal. Chapter 4. Children in trauma. Children are especially vulnerable to trauma because their nervous system is still immature. Even seemingly insignificant events, prolonged crying without comfort, a painful medical procedure, can leave a lasting mark. The quiet prevention principle. After a stressful event, a fall, an injection, allow the child to release energy through crying, trembling, or movement. Don't soothe too quickly. Let them complete the reaction. For example, a toddler falling off a swing starts trembling and crying. If the parent doesn't immediately pick them up, but allows a few minutes for this natural release, the risk of traumatization decreases. Childhood trauma is often invisible, but its consequences can last for decades. Chapter 5. Trauma in animals. Wild animals rarely experience psychological trauma, even though they constantly face threats. The secret lies in their ability to fully process instinctive reactions, trembling after a predator's attack, fleeing or aggression without suppression. The reenactment technique. Safely reproduce an interrupted defensive reaction, For example, swinging your arm if you once couldn't fight back. This helps unfreeze blocked energy. For example, an office worker who experienced humiliation during a therapy session for the first time allows himself to get angry and hits a pillow. This initiates the process of liberation from trauma. Humans should learn from animals about natural healing. Overall, conclusion for part I, the first part of the book changes the view of trauma. It's not a weakness, but a physiological reaction that can be reversed. The main ideas: the body stores trauma as an unfinished action. Symptoms are the nervous system's attempts to recover. And healing begins with observing bodily signals. As Levine shows, even severe consequences of trauma are reversible if addressed through natural self-regulation mechanisms. Part 2, symptoms of trauma and their treatment. Chapter 6, frozen fear. Trauma leaves the body in a state of chronic tension, as if frozen in the face of danger. This manifests in muscle stiffness, shallow breathing, and unconscious defensive postures. The defrosting technique suggests gradually activating blocked areas of the body through gentle movements and awareness. For example, a person who experienced the fall instinctively hunches their shoulders. By starting with a gentle head sway, they gradually restore natural mobility in that area. Fear is stored in the body, and release begins with physical liberation. Chapter 7, transforming trauma symptoms. Anxiety, insomnia, and chronic pain are not enemies, but signals of incomplete defensive reactions. The re-experiencing method allows one to safely complete an interrupted stress response cycle through controlled reproduction of defensive or escape movements. Example: a woman who experienced an assault during a therapy session slowly performs pushing movements with her hands, completing a defensive reaction that was once interrupted. Symptoms hold the key to healing if one knows how to decipher them. Chapter 8, first aid for trauma. In a critical moment, it's important to help the nervous system avoid getting stuck in shock. Simple techniques include observing breathing, gentle rocking, or patting the body. These actions activate natural self-regulation mechanisms. For example, after a minor accident, a driver starts breathing deeply and shaking their hands, preventing the development of a traumatic reaction. Timely physical assistance can prevent trauma from becoming entrenched. Chapter 9, healing trauma, core principles. Healing occurs by creating a window of tolerance, a safe space between complete avoidance and re-traumatization. The titration technique suggests working with trauma in microdoses, alternating activation and calming. For example, a man who experienced a fire begins with short 30-second recollections of the event, immediately switching to a feeling of safety in the here and now. Gradualness and controlled dosage are the main conditions for sustainable healing. Overall, conclusion for part 2. The second part of the book transforms theory into practice, showing how to work with specific manifestations of trauma. The main discovery: symptoms are not the problem, but the path to the solution. Through gentle interaction with the body, completing interrupted reactions, and dosed work, the nervous system can be shifted from survival mode to a state of equilibrium. As Levine emphasizes, healing is not about erasing memory, but about restoring the body's capacity for self-regulation. Part 3, paths to healing. Chapter 10, feelings and sensations. The body holds the wisdom of healing through subtle physical signals: tingling, warmth, trembling, or heaviness. Developing somatic awareness helps us notice these subtle sensations before they turn into symptoms. The body scan technique teaches us to systematically direct attention to different areas, noting changes without judgment. For example, a woman who experienced trauma notices coldness in her chest when recalling the event, but after 5 minutes of breathing, feels a slight warmth there, a sign of beginning relaxation. The body speaks the language of sensations, and understanding this language opens the path to healing. Chapter 11, the role of the body in healing trauma. Trauma disrupts the natural flow of energy in the body, creating blockages in the form of muscle tension or numbness. Gentle movements, similar to those animals make after stress, help restore this flow. The spontaneous movement method suggests allowing the body to move intuitively without conscious control. For example, a man who experienced a fall from a height during a therapy session begins to sway involuntarily. His body instinctively completes the interrupted stabilization reaction. The body knows how to heal itself if provided with the right conditions. Chapter 12, Discharging Traumatic Energy. Accumulated stress energy can be safely released through trembling, sweating, tears, or yawning. It's important not to suppress these natural reactions. The containment technique helps you process discharge in controlled doses, alternating activation and rest. For example, after a car accident, a person starts trembling severely in their legs. The therapist suggests they observe this state for 2 to 3 minutes, then shifts their attention to breathing. Discharging is a natural physiological process that doesn't need to be controlled. Chapter 13, Boundaries and Protection. Trauma often destroys the sense of personal boundaries. Recovery begins with simple physical actions, pushing gestures, conscious muscle tension. The invisible wall exercise helps to rebuild a sense of safety through an imagined protective barrier. For example, a woman who experienced an assault learns to say stop while simultaneously extending her hands palms forward. This restores a lost sense of control. Healthy boundaries are the foundation of feeling safe after trauma. Chapter 14, Social Aspects of Trauma. Healing happens faster in a safe social environment. Group therapy with elements of breathing and movement synchronization creates a powerful resonance effect. The mirroring technique, where participants repeat each other's postures and gestures, helps restore trust in the world. For example, a group of veterans performs synchronized movements, which reduces their isolation and anxiety. Humans are social beings, and healing also requires connection with others. Overall conclusion for part 3. The third part of the book transforms theory into concrete healing practices. The main secret is trusting the wisdom of the body and its innate capacity for self-regulation. From sensory awareness to social interaction, each stage helps restore the balance disrupted by trauma. As Levine shows, healing is not about fighting symptoms, but about collaborating with one's own organism, where the therapist merely creates the conditions for a natural recovery process. Part 4, Practical Application. Chapter 15, Helping Children. Childhood trauma requires a special approach, as children often cannot verbalize what they've experienced. The play reenactment technique allows children to safely express suppressed emotions through dolls, drawings, or role-playing. It's important to observe a child's spontaneous movements, trembling, changes in breathing, which indicate a discharge process. For example, a boy who fell off his bicycle repeatedly plays out the situation with toys in therapy until his body begins to relax at the memory. Children instinctively seek ways to heal if a safe space is created for it. Chapter 16, Trauma and Society. Collective traumas, wars, disasters have their own healing dynamics. Rituals, synchronized movements, and shared narratives help communities process the experience. The group grounding method uses collective breathing and somatic practices to restore a sense of connection. For example, residents of a city after an earthquake gather in the square, hold hands, and breathe synchronously. This reduces the level of collective anxiety. Trauma divides, while healing requires the restoration of social connections. Chapter 17, Further Steps in Healing. The concluding chapter offers strategies for maintaining the achieved balance. The daily scan technique, a 5-minute check of bodily sensations morning and evening, helps to notice signs of tension in time. The microdoses principle, regular but small practices, proves more sustainable than rare, intense sessions. For example, a woman who underwent therapy starts her day with 3 minutes of observing her breath and ends with light stretching. This is enough to maintain stability. Healing is not a destination, but a way of life that requires conscious attention. Overall conclusion for part 4. The final part of the book transforms theory into concrete strategies for different life situations. From working with children to healing collective traumas, the same principles apply everywhere. Trusting the wisdom of the body, the importance of completing interrupted reactions, and the power of a safe, social environment. As Levine shows, trauma is not a sentence, but a challenge that the body is surprisingly well equipped to respond to, if given the right conditions. The main thing is to remember that the healing process is unique for everyone and requires patience, not forceful fixing. This is such a wonderful book. I've compiled a separate list of all the important theses from this book, along with all the techniques and tools, and created a step-by-step action plan that you can immediately implement in your life. You can get all this in my community, Place of Power. There, you will find a detailed text analysis with similar lists for each book being reviewed. The community has already thoroughly analyzed and made available to you hundreds of world bestsellers, with a new analysis released every day. Follow the link in the description and use it.